Hello, my beautiful friends. I should have gotten coffee before filming this video because I have no energy right now. I do not like doing TBRs because I'm not someone who can afford to stock my TBR with books that I don't plan on reading in the extremely near future. So, however, I wanted to film a spring. Anyways, I wanted to film a spring TBR, and most of these books I don't own, and I'm also not going to make it like a super extensive TBR. This is just a reference point. These are just books that I'm interested in right this second as I'm filming this video that I think I would like to read in the semi-near future. I'm going to start off with a book that is releasing in April. And that is Powerful by Lauren Roberts, which is a novella in the Powerless trilogy that was only released like a few months ago, because everyone thought that we were just gonna have to wait until July for Reckless to come out. But no, she's holding us over with Adina's story, and I think we get to meet Adina's love interest. It might honestly be kind of a sad book if you know what happens in Powerless. I don't know, I'm really excited to read that book. All that being said, that is the first book that is on my spring TBR. And now we're going to go into the books that I own physical copies of. Sort of. This is the book that I'm reading right now, which is Delirium by Lauren Roberts. I want to read the sequel to this book because, I don't know, the series is interesting and I think I'd like to continue it in the near future. But I forgot to look up what the sequel is called, so let me look that up really quickly. The sequel is called Pandemonium. I'll pop a picture of it up here. So this is a series about this dystopian world where, like, they've cured all diseases, basically, by administering a cure that makes you not fall in love. Like, love is considered the #1 disease that causes all other diseases. And they cure you for love when you turn 18. And yeah, I don't know. If you've read Matched, that's kind of what it reminds me of. That's the closest thing that I can compare this series to. It is definitely scratching that itch that I had for a dystopian YA. And I will be continuing this series at some point. Alright. This is a book that I just picked up at Target because I was in the mood for a Taylor Jenkins read, but I feel like her backlist is just not something that I would like reach for automatically. Like, she doesn't write within the genres that I'd typically be pretty interested in. But Forever Interrupted is about this couple. They meet in January and they elope in May, and then immediately after they elope, he dies. That's kind of interesting and sounds really, really sad, but I don't know. I really enjoyed When True Loves, and all of her romances seem to kind of have some kind of like bizarre element thrown in there that would like never happen in real life, or like would be absolutely terrible if it happened in real life. So yeah, I'm kind of expecting the same from this one. Apparently this is her debut novel, so it's not super highly rated, but I don't know. I think it'd be an interesting read. This next book, I cannot express to you enough how excited I am to read it. I have been waiting to read this book since I read Beach Read in June, but I have not let myself buy it because I didn't want the hardcover, and I also didn't want the large print paperback or the UK paperback. But the regular trade, I watched too much Rachel Catherine. The regular paperback, not the regular trade paperback. I'm an American. The regular paperback for Happy Place released on March 5th, and I am just so excited to read this book. I don't even think I've ever read a second chance romance. Romance is not my thing. That's not what I reach for. So I'm interested to see how that will go. I take that back. I've probably read a second chance romance, but like in a fantasy or something that I didn't register. You know what I mean? Anyways, I'm so excited to read this book. And the reason I want to read it in spring instead of summer is obviously I'm excited to read it. But also, I think I mentioned this in another video, I like to read beach books in spring and like the tail end of winter because I get really, really bad, like, summer fever the second the middle of March hits and it starts consistently being 60, 70 degrees. And I just want to be out of school and I want to be laying on a beach. I don't live near a beach, but I want to be laying on a beach. And yeah, that's why I'm just so excited to read this book. This should be pretty obvious, but I'm planning on finishing the ACOTAR series. These are the 2 books I have left. A Quarter of Silver this is A Quarter of Frost and Starlight. This is A Quarter of Silver Flame. I can't talk. I told you I needed coffee. Anyways, I'm planning on finishing the ACOTAR series before I graduate in May. The final book that I already own a physical copy of that I want on my TBR for spring is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. This takes place in the 1920s in China. This is about a Chinese princess, I think, kind of. It sounds like there are some rival gangs involved, and like the lady heir of one gang and like the lead guy of another gang is like it's some kind of enemies to lovers fantasy, 1920s China. I don't know. I'm excited. It seems like something that in my head I feel like I should read it in April. That's where this book falls in my head. So, yeah. Okay, now we're gonna move on to the books that I don't have physical copies of. I just have screenshots of the synopses, in case I forget what the books are about. The next book that I would like to read at some point in spring is kind of ambitious, considering I'm already planning on finishing ACOTAR and reading These Violent Delights, which is already kind of a lot of fantasy for me. Is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. And I did not even want to read this book until very recently. I was like, oh, cozy fantasy is not going to be my thing. I'm not going to want to read that. And then suddenly I decided that I actually did want to read cozy fantasy. I don't know. I think I was watching Rachel Catherine or something. All I know about it is it's this like girl. I don't know if she's human. I don't know if she's another fairy. But she like goes around and she like studies these different fairies. And it's like they're... I am a plot person, and I don't think this book has a lot of plot, but I think I will be able to enjoy it just for the vibes. And it's very spring-like. The next book that I want to read is just a book that I have seen on Barnes & Noble and Target shelves recently. It's called All Good People Here by Ashley Flowers. It is a thriller, and I've been in the worst thriller mood recently. In other words, I have not wanted to pick up a thriller. I'm going to read the synopsis really quick. So, it's her friend was kidnapped and killed when she was 6. She goes away. She comes back. The same thing happens to another girl. She remembers that the other killer was never brought to justice. And the town's keeping secrets. So that sounds really fun. That sounds like something, as far as thrillers go, that sounds right down my alley. And then Picking Daisies on Sundays. This is a book that I heard of from Sarah Caroli. It just sounds like a pretty little rom-com, and the cover's pretty. The cover is absolutely beautiful, actually. I love the cover, and I want the book just to have the cover on my shelves. But I say that romance is not my thing, but I really need to get back into romance because it's just so brainless. Another beautiful cover that I want to buy the book literally just to have the cover on my shelves is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This is another book that I said I would absolutely never read because it sounds boring. But everyone that I watch and follow has rated it over 4 stars, which never happens. And everyone describes it the same way. Like the way they describe it, a guy and a girl in video games and no romance. Like the way they all describe it, it sounds so mundane, but they also all say that they can't describe it. And it's so much better than they actually are saying. And at this point, I'm just too curious to not know why everyone is so obsessed with it. Oh! I said Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow first while I was looking at the title of another book. The title of this book is Today, Tonight, Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This is not a book that I'm super excited to read, but this book and another book that you'll see in a second, they're two books that I was sort of interested in when I heard about them. But the reason that I kind of want to read them this spring is I'm graduating in May. If somehow, like, I'm graduating from high school in May. If somehow you haven't heard that yet, both of these books that I'm talking about, Today, Tonight, Tomorrow focuses on, I think it's the valedictorian and the salutatorian of this high school, or like academic rivals or something. I'm assuming it's insta love because it literally takes place the day before graduation to the day of graduation. Like, that's the span of the book. So I'm assuming it's kind of insta lovey. I'm not expecting a lot from it, but it's a book that I want to read, and I feel like I should read it when I'm like graduating high school. You know what I mean? So I'll probably read that in May. As well as What Happens After Midnight by K.L. Walter. Again, another book that I haven't really heard great things about, but it's about a girl who kind of gets looped into the senior prank, and right before they graduate. And it's a book that I want to read, and I just feel like I should read it before I graduate high school. This is a book that I picked up at Barnes & Noble, like, when I did my haul. This is a book that I literally had in my hand and was about to buy, and then I put it back. And it is When in Rome by Sarah Adams. This is another book that I feel like, maybe I just saw everyone read it last summer, but it seems like a summery book to me, and for the longest time I genuinely thought it meant Rome, Italy. This is a small-town romance that takes place in Rome, Kentucky, and Sarah Adams does not write spice, which I'm really excited to see, like, if I hope I like her, because you don't find anyone who doesn't write spice, and it's less effort for me to skip. And I also think it's like less than 300 pages, which would be so nice. But yeah, it's just a small-town romance in Rome, Kentucky. The girl's car literally like breaks down in front of the guy's house. I think it's like, I think it's also like one of them is famous. One of them is a famous singer, I think. I'm super excited to read that book. It seems like a really sweet, wholesome palate cleanser. Oh my gosh, is that the last one on my list? No way. Oh my gosh, well, I have talked everybody's ears off for forever now, and you finally get to get rid of me. I know you are all so excited. I feel like I have a little bit more energy now. My words are still not working, but the good thing is I don't gotta talk to anyone else today if I don't want to. So that's not a big problem. Anyways, I love you guys, and I hope that you're staying warm if it's still cold where you are, or if it's getting warmer. I hope you're enjoying the warm weather. And yeah, anyways, I guess I'll see you guys whenever I decide to post again. I love you. See you soon. Bye-bye.